Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
We'd like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet features great racing now through Florida Derby weekend at the end of March. As usual on a Sunday morning, we'll do a little recap of some of the Saturday action, which I said yesterday, it was okay for late December. Overall, a little bit late as maybe compared to some other weekends, but there was some pretty good stakes action yesterday at the various venues. New York, Florida, nice 2-year-old day all around at Oaklawn. But the 2-year-old stake, the year's end, we'll take a look at that. But there were some 2-year-old winners yesterday at Oaklawn that definitely would be worth watching going forward. A couple of stakes also at the Fairgrounds. Big day coming up. It's opening day today again. Delayed opening day because of the weather situation the past few days out in Southern California. Again, normally it's opening day the day after Christmas. But with the weather, they did the right thing a few days ahead of time. So we're going to push things. And so Sunday became the day. So it's opening day today. 6 stakes, 3 grade ones out of Santa Anita. You'll be able to watch all of that action. We'll wrap up before 7:30 our time tonight with the finale on the West Coast. But again, some really nice races. I didn't hear, was I being told something? I didn't hear what you said. Okay. First post is 2:00 to kick things off at Santa Anita. So we'll, again, have the action for you throughout the late afternoon into the early evening, and it'd be perfect. You are. It sounds like sit inside early evening. They're talking about some ice hitting here, so if you have plans, arrive or whatever before. It sounds like, from what I heard, 5-6 o'clock it may hit our area. And there'll be some ice, so I would think the driving will be a little bit dicey late in the day or early evening. So again, make your plans accordingly. And as I say, you can sit at home, have the heat on, and watch the last view from Santa Anita right here on the network. Yesterday, I was touting the High Five jackpot up at Woodbine Mohawk with the mandatory payout. They had about $200,000 in the pool. The pool jumped up to about $600,000, and it paid for 20 cents. It paid about $50,000. It was. I was about to say it was not easy, although I had the winner paid 26 to 1. I had the winner in my mix, but I did kind of a pyramid ticket, and I used the 4 and the 5 horse, and they ran second and third at 10 to 1, and then one of them was the 4 to 5 favorite. So they were right there. Otherwise, the ticket might have been interesting. That said, it came out 1-4-5-6-8, 26 to 1 over 10 to 1 over 4 to 5, 7 to 2 over 77 to 1. The 77 to 1 shot I had underneath on my ticket. I did a 4-5 on top of 1, 2, 4, 5, 8. And I used them again, and then I put the 3 in the mix in the last couple of spots. So again, it was kind of a pyramid ticket that was reasonably priced. That said, I left out the 6, who was the second choice at 7 to 2. So that one was on me. But I had some of those prices, including again the 77 1 that rounded out the 5, ran 5th, but 5th, you don't know what's going to happen. And I had the 26-1 winner in the mix. Third spot down, but not the first two. Or the second spot down actually, but on top they had used again the 4 and 5 were in second and third. Hopefully, one of you had it because, as I say, 20-cent increment, you wound up with $50,000 with that super high five last night at Woodbine Mohawk. So a little fun late at night as it went off. I think around 11:30 or so last night. All right, let's get into the action for. Oh, before that, I pulled up the recap yesterday from Aqueduct. It'll be fun to watch Aqueduct this winter with Flavien Prat electing to stay. I'm curious as to how often he is here because clearly on weekends he will move to other venues normally. But he was in New York yesterday, and on the 11 race card, Flavien Prat had 4 winners. The last 3 races, he swept the last 3. But he also earlier on won the second. So he comes up with 4 out of 11. And as I said, currently he is leading the meet with 43 winners compared to Mini Franco at 29. So he has a solid lead as well. Kendrick Carmouche sits with 23, Jose Lezcano 20, Jamie Rodriguez with 16. So Flavien Prat, again, he's going to be fun to watch this winter. As one of the guys who dominates most of the year, and those guys typically head out of town in the winter and go look for warmer climes. But sticking around, it's going to be interesting to watch, as I say, Flavien Prat this winter in New York. And A, see how often he is here on the weekends, and B, to see how he racks up the wins like he did yesterday, winning 4 of the 11 races. It was also noted yesterday, we had Brian Edo on, and there was a mention of sovereignty and, unsure what plans were. And we're both kind of keeping our fingers crossed that we'd see. Well, it came out yesterday that sovereignty will be back in 2026. Good news for the whole horse racing game. But Michael Banahan, director of bloodstock for Godolphin, was interviewed yesterday at Gulfstream. And he said he's at Keeneland at the moment, sovereignty. He's galloping away up there and will probably be back down here at Payson in very early January. Subsequently, Mike Welch in the Racing Forum had a quote from Bill Mott that sovereignty, he's been exercising up in Kentucky. We'll just have to start where we left off and get him ready. Although I wouldn't anticipate, even with any luck, he's going to be ready until the end of March or April. So I'll leave out things like certainly the Pegasus, the Saudi Cup, probably Dubai as well. But Mott went on, we're just going to go through the process, and it's just too early to pick anything out right now for him. So he's back, but unsure, when we'll see him debut for the season. But regardless, it's great to have sovereignty back in the mix this year after having been, likely horse of the year. That's always nice for racing to have that kind come back and, be a notable attraction as the year progresses. Clearly, a Mott horse, we'll see him up in Saratoga, you would have to think at some point. So, going to be fun. All right, let's get back into the action from yesterday in New York. The Queens County was the highlight. $150,000 3-year-olds up, going 9 furlongs. I like Bourbon Day, and Bourbon Day at 3-1 actually. A little click below 7-2. I thought on the turn was in a pretty good spot, but Manny Franco made a great move on the turn, and I knew this is not going to be good for me. Manny Franco cuts the corner at number 4, the favored full screen, and by cutting the corner, he gets the jump on Bourbon Day. Bourbon Day is a number 3 on the outside, and I thought was in a good position. Then he flattens out maybe a little bit, but as I say, it didn't make a difference because Manny Franco, great move there, full screen, cuts the corner, and as the short price favorite, just kind of pulls away. The chart margin winds up to be 5. Cook Creek winds up running second. That one also looked to be a player to me, runner from Mike Maker, who had thrown in a dud in the Clark in the previous start, but looked to be in a better spot with this group yesterday. So Cook Creek runs second, but again, well beaten second. You could see full screen get east. Full screen Brad Cox runner, Manny Franco on board. Again, kind of cut the corner there. Second win in 10 starts this year, well over half a million. It has to be approaching, it went over yesterday, $600,000 in earnings. 6 years old, and one of those where they've kind of picked their spots and had shown some talent. Had tried a couple of stakes earlier in the career, but found the right group yesterday. Was coming out of a triple-digit buyer win at Aqueduct in the previous start. Followed that up very nicely with another triple-digit. Fired a 101 yesterday. And kind of interesting, as I say, a 6-year-old who had tried some stakes earlier in the career, but was claimed early in the Saratoga meet in July, claimed for $100,000. Since then, a second in an optional claimer. Again, he had a triple-digit win in an optional claimer last time, and then puts a stakes victory on the table. So it was a nice. You jumped in for 100,000. You're rolling the dice a little bit, but I think they turned out doing well with that claim. The win, according to the Dave Grenning article in the Racing Forum, the win moved Cox a little further, Brad Cox a little further on the North American leaders lists in both stakes won this year. He has 58 stakes wins and earnings as well. He goes over 30 million in earnings yesterday with the win in the Queens County with full screen. So again, there was some nice action in New York on the day on an 11 race card yesterday in New York. Down at Gulfstream, as I said, we talked to Brian Nadeau yesterday. We went over a couple of stakes, including the Abundancia, as they said yesterday. I had a pronunciation stuck in my head and couldn't get that out, which I knew was not necessarily correct. But regardless, as I said yesterday, it was the 9th race. Sprinting on the turf for Phillies and Mayors. I put the winner Moonspawn down at the bottom of my list, but with Brian Lynch training, that may have been a mistake. I like Love Appeals. Hall and Ice was interesting as well. There was 2-year-olds yesterday in Arkansas. Hall and Ice is an Arkansas bred. It was a sibling to Hall and Ice that won yesterday at Oaklawn, so that added a little intrigue to the day. But you can see it will be Moonspun getting it done here. Betting Public, I said I used Moonspun underneath. Betting Public was smarter. They saw Brian Lynch, and they made this one the favorite. Looked like a ding-dong battle, and you had the feeling Hall and Ice was going to go by, but no. Moonspun dug in. Javier Castellano on board for Brian Lynch. Hall and Ice, the Arkansas bred. They're real talented Arkansas bred. Good second. Just couldn't push by Irad Ortiz on board and was trying turf for the first time. That was a pretty good performance for Hall and Ice. Safi Joseph, trainee. The horse I like, Love Appeals, runs third. Nice field in there. And that was a nice performance for Moonspun. Relatively lightly raced 4-year-old. That was the stakes debut. Win number 4 and start number 8. I always say you win 50% of your starts, you're doing okay. But not only that, in the money 50%. 4 wins, 3 seconds, and a third. So this is a pretty nice little bona fide turf sprinter. I always say that seems to be a specialty. And this one has been successful with it. Brian Lynch, again, as I said earlier, you see his name down at Gulfstream, and you have to take an extra look. I pulled up the stats for the current championship meet down there. Safi Joseph leads the trainers with 13 wins. Jose D'Angelo with 12. Brian Lynch with 10. But Safi Joseph has 63 starters. Jose D'Angelo 61. And again, they have 13 and 12 winners. And Brian Lynch has 22 starters. and 10 wins. He is just red hot down there. This was his third win in this stake, third straight win in this stake. So he has a little bit of a hammer lock there as well. As I said, the betting public was a little smarter than me with all those stats, making this one the 9-5 favorite. You got $5.80 for Moonspun kicking off the stakes action yesterday down at Gulfstream. A little bit later on, it was the Mr. Prospector, 3-year-olds and up, going 7 furlongs. Notable news there happened before the race with White Barrio scratch. Sounds like they're going to lead right into the Pegasus, work right into it. I was taking a shot against White Barrio to begin with. I liked Knightsbridge yesterday with the scratch of White Barrio. Knightsbridge became clearly the favorite. Went off at 1-5 for Bill Mott with Junior Alvarado on board. Talking about this one with Brian Edo yesterday, and we were both saying a horse that has shown some obvious ability throughout the career, lately raced, has had some starts and stops, now got to string a couple together, stepped back into stakes action, and just the way things shook out, looked to have an edge, and did have an edge. Knightsbridge going to be the number 2 horse here. Going to get it done pretty easily. Again, knocking heads around the turn a little bit, but is going to pull away. Super Chow, who I said yesterday, early in the career, I absolutely like this horse, and just seems to have, with age, Super Chow, 5-year-old, again running second, still talented, but I was questioning talent as compared to earlier in the career, but that was a pretty good second yesterday. So, and again, the season hadn't been bad prior to that, with a couple of wins and 6 starts for Super Chow. But as a about 5-year-old now, about to turn 6, Super Chow with a good second yesterday. The Knightsbridge, who may be on his way to bigger and better things, with win number 4 and start number 6. Again, a lately raced runner for Bill Mott, who finally got to string a couple together, was coming out of a nice work down at Payson, and gets it done just about 5 lengths. Bill Mott came out of this and said maybe they'll shoot for the 1 mile Great Three Hooper on Pegasus Day, late January. Wouldn't shock me. That would seem like a good spot. But it looks like Bill Mott has a good one in the barn that we already know, but now kind of validates it with the stakes win we've kind of been waiting for that one. So a couple nice stakes down at Gulfstream with some performances that were not unexpected, but fun to watch and fun to anticipate what we might see from those runners going forward as well. Before we go to the break, talked yesterday also about the 2 stakes down at Laurel. Late season 2-year-old stakes that I said that they are the Gin Talking and the Heft to me are 2 late season 2-year-old stakes. They're fun to watch because they're fun to watch the horses going forward. They usually have horses coming out. Now, they aren't necessarily Derby or Oaks or Kentucky Derby or Kentucky Oaks horses. They may wind up on Preakness Day showing up, but they're interesting 3-year-olds, if not branching out to other venues, certainly on the Mid-Atlantic circuit. Now, in the Gin Talking, I didn't pull up a replay of that because it scratched down, unfortunately, to a field of only 3. It was Peach Tie getting it done. Sheldon Russell on board for Brittany Russell. And again, John Piasek and I, this is the later race. So, Dino, you can hold the replay. Talking about the 7th race now. Brittany Russell had a couple in there. We were talking about John Piasek yesterday, and had said there was no rider, and I joked, well, we'll see where Sheldon winds up. Well, Sheldon wound up on Peach Tie, and that one did get it done. As I say, it was just a 3-horse field. So Just Filtered was the favorite. We talked about that one as the likely player, but it wound up to be Peach Tie, winning pretty easily, but funny things happen in short fields like that 3-horse field. But Peach Tie, 3-year-old filly that, again, that was the 4th win and the 5th career start. So that one will be worth watching going forward. Again, Kentucky Oak, maybe not, but Black-Eyed Susan, I would think, is certainly a possibility. Did want to show, though, the boys' race, and that was the one we were just looking at, so we can fire that up again. I like Probably Dreaming in here. Probably Dreaming got off poorly and was at the back of the pack and makes a big, big late run. Number 2 horse is Probably Dreaming. Makes a nice late run after a poor start to get up to second, but it was just too late. By that time, Hollywood Import, who I had in the second slot, I thought was live, does get it done. Probably Dreaming lines up second, Red Zone third. Gary Capuano getting it done in here. We mentioned yesterday he had a number of runners. One of them scratched, so he still had 3 and winds up with the exact because he also trained Probably Dreaming. But Hollywood Import, the longer part of the Capuano uncoupled runners, as Probably Dreaming went off at 6-5. His other runner, Very Volatile, ran last at 3-1. But of the 3, a 9-1 shot gets, how often that happens, the longer price of an uncoupled entry. But a 9-1, $21 and change, Hollywood Import getting it done and looking pretty good doing it. This is one I had it in the second slot as we talked about the race yesterday. But I was curious because the horse had started out with some promise with a win at Delaware in the career debut. You always like to see that. It came from off the pace. That was nice as well. And then we had a series of numbers going in the wrong direction. Buyers wound up second in stake, though, in the second career start. The last time an optional claimer had run fourth. So we needed kind of a rebound to the first start or maybe the first couple. And I think we got it yesterday. Again, pretty clear winner. The way the race shaped up with the favorite getting the fourth start, you have to factor that in as well. But both of those are probably worth taking a look at in the future. Again, on the 3-year-olds against the best of the best, I don't know. But I think down in at least the Mid-Atlantic region, worth taking a look at. Notable also, Capuano, in the DRF follow-up article, they noted Gary Capuano, the trainer, really solid season with 2-year-olds. And that's always notable to me. I mean, for years we've worked at Todd Fletcher with 2-year-olds. I mean, some trainers seem to have a knack for getting first-timers ready or just being good overall with the freshman class. That's Gary Capuano in 2025 with 2-year-olds, 62 starts, 24 wins, including 6 stakes. That's a pretty good season with the 2-year-olds, and he added to it yesterday again with Hollywood Import in the heft. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, nice 2-year-old stake at Oaklawn, also a couple of stakes down at the Fairgrounds, and more when we return. Racing Across America will continue. Stay tuned.
To a fast start, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
The championship season is on at Gulfstream Park. Great horse racing action Thursday through Sunday. Come out and enjoy the world's best horses, trainers, and jockeys as they compete over the Hallandale Beach Oval all season long. Take your experience up a notch. Join us in 10 Palms Restaurant with unbeatable track views, outstanding dining, and convenient wagering options. For reservations, event schedules, tickets, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resorts Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Welcome back, Seth Merrow in the studio on a Sunday morning, doing a little stakes review. Don't forget, we'll be back a little bit later this afternoon. OTB Live. Aqueduct today with an 11:40 post time. They were 11:20 yesterday, slamming in 11 races, but 11:40 today. I think, we're early today because of that. Again, I said yesterday, they typically start their pregame show about an hour and a half before post time. Yesterday, they went a little bit later, but I'm expecting, 10, sometime between 10:15, probably kick things off with the pregame stuff. We're early, so we can wrap up in anticipation of that. I'll look at a little Gulfstream today as well, but plenty of action. Again, a little bit later, we'll take a look at some of those stakes from Santa Anita on opening day at delayed opening day, but 6 nice stakes races, graded stakes, including 3 grade ones. Yesterday at Oaklawn, I said at the top of the show, you may want to go back and look at some of those results. It was a fun day at Oaklawn yesterday. I love 2-year-old racing, and it was all 2-year-olds. And there were some very nice performances yesterday that you would think will play out potentially in stakes company going forward. But one certainly to watch for some coming out of the year's end, which was the feature race yesterday. 2-year-old fillies going a mile. I like Copper Wind coming out of a debut win down at the Fairgrounds for Steve Asmussen. Copper Wind, unfortunately, winds up 6th in here, disappoints at 4-1. Counting Stars was in my mix for Mark Cassie and West Point, but down in my mix. But the betting public had it right. Counting Stars went off at 6-5 and winds up getting it done off of a couple of wins prior in 3 career starts. Had tossed in a little bit of a clunker in between those two in the Myrtlewood at Keeneland, but had won a stake at Oaklawn, an overnight stake back on December 14th. So game turned around fairly quickly, but didn't seem to bother. Stretched out for the first time to 2 turns and is going to win here by 6 lengths. So again, our friends at West Point, I think, have a nice little 2-year-old filly, about to be 3-year-old filly with 3 wins in 4 career starts, including a nice stakes race yesterday. Running second was Newtown Pike, and third was Scott's Law. Paving was an undefeated runner from Tommy Amos that I'm surprised got away at 9-2 as the third choice. I thought that horse would take a little more money. The morning line favored it 5-2, but it was 2 for 2 coming in. Winds up kind of a disappointing 4th in there in the stakes debut and stretching out for the first time after a couple of 6 furlong wins. So Paving was a little bit disappointing. Copper Wind again, who I like, a little bit disappointing, but not disappointing was Counting Stars. Again, that's one to watch going forward. West Point, Francisco Arrieta, Mark Cassie, a good day on the 2-year-old day down there with a couple of maiden special wins on the card as well. So nice day for Mark. And again, on a day like that, there are some horses that not just the stakes winner, who clearly is one to look at going forward, but on the undercard, some horses to watch as well. All right, and there were a couple of stakes at Fairgrounds as well. The Wood Shopper, to me, was a very competitive group. Mile and 16th on the grass for the 3-year-olds. I think I mentioned this yet. It's one where you could have literally pointed to the whole field and made some kind of case for everybody in here. The interesting horse to me was Flying Mohawk, who had started in Kentucky Derby last year, but hadn't fared too well in the only dirt start of the career. It started the career on the turf, then went over to Turfway and ran in the Jeff Ruby Stakes stake and ran pretty good second. So that got points. They had a shot at the Derby. They took their shot. Didn't run well, running 18th, and was off from that Derby start until November in a stake at Churchill. Showed some punch before fading there. Well, Flying Mohawk yesterday, again, a little bit disappointing, is the third choice at 9-2 winds up running sixth. But the winner will be Montador, a horse that certainly was a player. Mike Stidham trainee, Brian Hernandez on board, came into it with a couple of wins and a couple of seconds in 4 starts. Like Flying Mohawk, had been in the Commonwealth, but had run okay in the Commonwealth. Came out of that, though, and got the victory yesterday pretty easily. 4+ lengths here as the favorite. Juris Doctor, who also looked to be a player, second at 3-1, and Faber, 26-1, longest shot on the board, runs third. Faber was another one I thought was interesting. As I say, I had food circled on virtually every horse in the field. But Faber was coming down from Woodbine, moving out of the barn of Kevin Attard. And as I say, the betting public let that one get away at 26-1, completing the try. And the try, a couple of bucks, got just about $90 for the try. Part of that was the top 2 selections running 1-2, but the price, you would have to think added a little bit of value in there. So Montador getting it done. Again, Mike Stidham, Brian Hernandez in the wood chopper, and the other stake on the card yesterday for the 3-year-old filly on the grass. 3-year-old boys in the wood chopper, 3-year-old girls in the Pago hop, mile and a 16th again on the grass. And in here will be number 2 here, the Queen, getting it done as the second choice. The favorite was Bracelet. Bracelet went off at 9-5 for Brad Cox, but the winner was here, the Queen, who went off at 5-2 for Brad Cox. So not a huge difference, but it was the longer price of the uncoupled entry. Marcelina Pedrosa on board for Brad Cox. Here, the Queen gets it done by a length in the end. The number 2 horse was getting the in the lead. But again, it's another one of those where the chart margin winds up to be a length, but you are not sweating in the last 100 yards or so. Cheetah Lady runs second at 14-1, and Sea to Sky third at 11-1 in there. So here's the Queen scoring for Brad Cox. That was the stakes debut for Here the Queen. Haven't seen numbers. The number on the Queen's County, the 101 for the winner there, but some of these other venues, I haven't seen the numbers yet. So it'll be interesting to see what we got. But this is one maybe just kind of rounding into some nice form here as a 3-year-old about to become 4-year-old with a record that was already okay, but maybe one to watch on that filly and mare turf scene for Brad Cox next season. So again, it's kind of a late day, stakes-wise across the country, but interesting stakes, and being the end of the year and the calendar coming, some of these horses move into new divisions and maybe will make some noise, or some of them are already making a little noise where they are and will continue to do so. I think it was a nice day, again, on the stakes side of things yesterday at various venues around the country. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we will jump into and take a closer look at the stakes at Santa Anita, just to give you an idea of what is coming up a little bit later today on their opening day, with 6 graded stakes, 3 grade 1s, all of that right after this. Stay tuned.
The 2025 Global Symposium on Racing. It's the premier network.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resorts Connected, where the good times flow.
Haven't signed up for a Capital OTB account yet? Now's the time to take advantage of the sign-up bonus. Open up a new account with $200 or more, bet $400 by the end of the month, and receive a bonus $200 into your account. Plus, you can take advantage of everything an OTB account has to offer: wagering from any device, live streaming, racing info, past performances, online promotions, and more. Sign up today and take advantage of the new account bonus. Details at capitalotb.com.
Come on. I want sales reports on my test by Monday.
Oops, my bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back again. The action at Santa Anita kicks off for their winter season today. Typically, it's the day, it's Boxing Day, the day after Christmas. But again, they had inclement weather. If you're watching the news at all, they really got hit out in Southern California. That said, and I haven't seen any people keep our fingers crossed as far as turf racing out there. So maybe just a quick look at the turf action and not really knowing what's what. The stakes actually had 6 graded stakes, 3 grade ones. It'll kick off in the 5th today with the Mathis Mile Grade 2 event, $100,000 up for grabs. A mile on the grass. Namaron for John Sadler attracted my attention. Started the career in Europe. So if they're on the grass and it lines up to be less than firm, which is unusual out there, but possible, I suppose, with the weather. This one, they have an advantage having started that career in Europe and having run on, yielding good. The 2 starts since arriving in the United States, they were okay. They were a couple of third-place finishes, but they were all right. But that one attracted my attention. Lyle the Crocodile for Phil D'Amato, 12 to 1 on the morning line. We'll see if we get that price, but if so, I thought Lyle the Crocodile was interesting and friendly confines. Irad Ortiz out in Southern California. Again, this race we have Flavian Prat, Joel Rosario, Irad Ortiz. Jose Ortiz is on runner in here too. So some notable names on the East Coast, over on the West Coast today for this big card at Santa Anita, but friendly confines for Richard Balthus and Irad Ortiz on board. Relatively lightly raced. I think that one's interesting also. Mathis Mile kicking off the stakes section. Race number 5, race number 6, the Lafitte Pinkai Jr. Grade 2 event, couple 100,000. Wouldn't surprise me if you watch the simulcast signal if you see Lafitte the Pinkai out there maybe presenting the trophy. Wouldn't shock me at all. But again, the 6th race, 8.5 furlongs for the older horses. Grade 2, couple $100,000. This one is notable because, and certainly will take a lot of action. Nysos is in here. And Nysos is one of these that, I don't know, a budding monster, and budding may be wrong. Maybe he's already there, but just relatively lightly raced at the end of the 4-year-old season, only 7 career starts, 6 wins and a 2nd place finish. The 2nd place finish was in this year's Grade 1 Churchill Downs on Derby weekend, just missing behind Mindframe. Otherwise, the horse is 6 for 6. If you cross out that just missed behind Mindframe, including the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile last time. All of that said, like I say, budding monster, because on the graded side, the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile was his only Grade 1 win. The Churchill Downs Stakes was also a Grade 1, but again, he ran 2nd to Mindframe. Otherwise, he's won graded stakes, Grade 2s and Grade 3s. So again, budding monster, I think. Although, again, maybe you define him already there. He has done very well. And coming out of this, they have said perhaps they prep for the, $20 million Saudi Cup. But he'll take the action in here. Nevada Beach and Nysos Baffert trainee, Flavian Prat on board. Nevada Beach, another very nice runner for Bob Baffert with 4 wins in 6 career starts, including a win in the Native Diver most recently, the end of November at Del Mar. That was interesting and indispensable for John Sadler. If you're looking for a little bit of value, that was intriguing to me as well. So the Lafitte Pinkai Jr., the interest there, and you're sitting back and you're thinking, I like Nysos, and you look up and you see the price, It's one of those races that you sit back and enjoy, see if Nysos gets it done, as he likely will, and in what fashion, and what can we expect from him next year as an older horse in the handicap division, going from 4 now, again, a relatively lightly raced 4-year-old into the 5-year-old season. 8th race on the card, Grade 1 action, the La Brea. 3-year-old fillies in the La Brea, 3-year-old boys in the Malibu, but the La Brea will kick off that 3-year-old action, 7 furlongs the trip. This is a nice field of 3-year-old fillies. 5G is in here, Simply Joking. Some 3-year-old fillies notable from success earlier in their career, and I went with 5G. Now, the question mark with 5G, this is a horse that won the Gulfstream Park Oaks back in March and hasn't been seen since. Ran second in the Honeybee at Oaklawn behind Quiet Side, won the Cash Run stake early last year at Gulfstream. So this is a bona fide, 3-year-old filly, stakes winner. Gulfstream Park Oaks is always a notable step on the Kentucky Oaks Trail. But again, hasn't been seen since that win in the Gulfstream Park Oaks. George Weaver trains. He's had a very good 2025. Horse has been working at Palm Beach Downs. Most recent work is at Santa Anita, though. So interesting that they elect to come back in kind of a salty spot like this. But again, George Weaver doing very well. I will put 5G on top. Simply Joking, another one that looked good early on, won the Silver Bullet Day earlier this year at the Fairgrounds, close up second behind Quiet Side in the Fantasy, and then kind of tossed in a clunker in the Kentucky Oaks. Has had a couple of comeback races, but sat off from the Kentucky Oaks until a return in the Keeneland Stake. The Raven Run was well beaten there, but bounced back in the Bayakoa at Del Mar to run okay second. Again, with that back class and maybe moving in the right direction. Simply Joking's interesting and brilliantly for Bob Baffert. Lately raced daughter of Uncle Mo. Has looked okay in the first 3 starts of the career. Second in the debut, one on the turf in the second start. That was back in March. Another one that sat up much of the year, came back in November and ran an okay third. Comes into this with a really good-looking bullet workout. Formula Rosa, also interesting on the outside with Mike Smith on board. So again, the 3-year-old filly, Grade 1, the La Brea. Nice field in here. Field of 11 scheduled. We'll see how it shakes out, but I think that one could be fun. Again, on the turf is the San Gabriel. We'll wait and see how the turf situation shakes out. But this one scheduled for 3-year-olds not going a mile and an eighth, Grade 3, $100,000. The French bred Suchet, if my high school French is playing out at all, but started the career over in France, has had a few starts here in the United States, finally broke through last time in an optional claimer at Del Mar for John Sadler. Jose Rosario, Joel Rosario on board, 6-1 on the morning line. At a little bit of a price, I think we'll get a little bit of a price. That one is intriguing to me. Stay Hot, Peter Urton, Irad Ortiz on board. Again, there's some back numbers here. The latest race was okay, but it was a 6th-place finish. St. Anthony for Neil Drysdale also could be an interesting player. Mondego, Flavian Proud on board for Mike McCarthy. This one's a competitive race, and I think you can play around a little bit in the San Gabriel on the turf, race 9. Race 10 is the aforementioned Malibu, and it's notable in here. Looking on social media last night, obviously double check, and verify your sources, but it looked like it was, I think it was Kevin Modesti tweeted it out, and Baffert had done a radio program, and it looks like Barnes might scratch. Barnes was, I think, clearly going to take the action coming out of the win in the Perryville at Keeneland, but it sounded like came up with maybe a little bit of an issue. So again, double check, but Barnes may scratch. If that happens, a couple other Bafferts are interesting. Goal-oriented, didn't run that well in the dirt mile behind Nysos, but the career before that was pretty good. Had run third behind Baeza and Magnitude in the Pennsylvania Derby, close up third behind Journalism and Oscar in the Haskell, fourth in the Preakness. Again, last time in the dirt mile, a little bit iffy. That was against Older, and that's also notable. Malibu, again, last grade one for the 3-year-olds on the calendar, so gets back in against the age group. And with Barnes out, goal-oriented will be attractive. Cornucopia is really going to be interesting. This is a horse that had shown plenty of talent in the career debut at Oaklawn, winning pretty easily with a triple-digit fire. Bob Baffert ready. From that, in the second career start, they try the Arkansas Derby, go off as the 4-5 favorite, wind up fourth behind Sand Publisher and Coal Battle. Then they go up to Aqueduct, try optional claimer, and run second and off since that April start. So now they come back, salty spot for a comeback, but working very well in Southern California for Bob Baffert. So that one's intriguing. The other Baffert runner in here, Medicaid Road, had shown plenty of talent throughout the career. Only one win, but has hit the board in some nice 3-year-old stakes races again throughout the season. So field of 10 scheduled. Again, Barnes may jump out of that. Then that's what it sounded like, but we'll see. Again, double check and verify that. But interesting addition of the Malibu. And things wrap up stakes-wise again on the turf. In the finale, the 11th at Santa Anita, the American Oaks, as the name suggests, 3-year-old fillies, mile and a quarter on the turf. And a grade one, $300,000. You get your last chance to, again, stay in age-restricted company for grade one action. As you might expect, there are some notable names shipping in to take their shot, including Cherie DeVoe with Cliffs, who lately raced but comes out a nice win at Churchill in the last start, which was start number 5, so relatively lightly raced. Jose Ortiz was on board the win at Churchill on November 7th. He's going to be out there for that one. Jonathan Thomas has Flavian Prat on board Will Then for Augustin Stables, one of Thomas's main clients. And this one, on a best effort, a player as well. Slick tossed in a little bit of a clunker last time in a stakes race. The race is just before that, though. This one's 20-1. The Phil D'Amato runner. Again, the last race, if you draw a line through that, and I would say don't judge on one race, good or bad. So Slick is maybe interesting at something of a price. I'm just looking. The morning line favorite is Attila, a European import in the barn of Richard Balthus. Coming out some grade one races over in England and will attract some attention because of that. I'm curious if that one will go off the favorite, though. And I'm not totally convinced on the European form. I was in Group 1s over there, but I'm not totally convinced. This horse doesn't look like a standout in that company by any means, but we'll see how things shake out on a big day out at Santa Anita. It always is opening day with plenty of grade stakes action, including the 3 grade ones and the 2 3-year-old grade ones. Again, wrapping up the grade one season for the 3-year-olds. They both wound up with intriguing fields. So watch all of it right here on the network this afternoon into this evening. You can also join us again about an hour and a half or so. We'll kick things off OTB Live for a Sunday morning into the afternoon. We'll get some Aqueduct and some Gulfstream, but we'll have plenty of other good action here on the network, including that Santa Anita card. So it should be fun. Seth Merrow wrapping it up for a Sunday morning on Racing Across America. Appreciate your tuning in. Should be another fun day of racing. So hopefully we'll toss out some idea. Yesterday, I will say, the Gulfstream selections are okay. After a pretty good day with the one sheet on Friday, Aqueduct yesterday, I was really whiffing and wound up with the 3 Flavian Prat winners at the end of the day. They were all short prices, but it helped the confidence because early on at Aqueduct, I was kind of treading water, no question. But the day at Gulfstream played out fairly well. So we will try to make both tracks a little bit productive this afternoon, hopefully handing out some good ideas and added to some good ideas you have. Hopefully everybody cashes some tickets because that's what it's all about. So again, wrapping it up, racing across America for a Sunday morning, back in about, again, an hour and a half or so. OTB Live for a Sunday afternoon. Stay tuned. We'd like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park Championship Meet features great racing now through Florida Derby weekend at the end of March.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.
The championship season is on at Gulfstream Park. Great horse racing action Thursday through Sunday. Come out and enjoy the world's best horses, trainers, and jockeys as they compete over the Hallandale Beach Oval all season long. Take your experience up a notch. Join us in 10 Palms Restaurant with unbeatable track views, outstanding dining, and convenient wagering options. For reservations, event schedules, tickets, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
By he could be the one. Confidence could have just been dented after that mistake at the previous fence. So Gavin, no doubt, will give him time to try and find his rhythm once again. So heading up towards what will be the final fence in a circuit's time, Moonshine